Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Elombah Television tonight. It is another series of our Anambra 2021 exclusive interview. Our guest tonight is Dr. Ifedi Okwenna. Dr. Okwenna is a PDP Governorship Aspirant for Anambra State. Dr. Okwenna, you are welcome to our program tonight.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you.
Right. You have declared interest to contest in the forthcoming November 2021 Anambra election. Can you please introduce yourself to our viewers and others who have joined our meeting tonight?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan, for this opportunity. My name is Dr. Ifedi Okwenna. I'm the Wumba of Osume. Like you said, a PDP Governorship Aspirant for the 2021 Anambra State Governorship election. And currently the Director General of World Summit Group, a director in a number of companies, and the convener of Nigerian Political Summit, the convener of African Youth Parliament, and I'm a commissioner for environment, mineral resources, science and technology, former special assistant political to the president of Asanjo, former SA to the then Senate President on Environment. A number of places like that. It's my pleasure to be here, and it's my pleasure to have opportunity, to be given opportunity to innovate Anambra State and to grow and develop by us. Thank you.
From what you have stated just now, Doctor, it shows clearly that you are not a political novice in any way.
Not at all. Not at all.
Can you share with us briefly your educational background?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I read my first degree in environmental and applied biological sciences. So I'm a scientist by training. I did my master's in environmental zoology. I did my other higher degree, doctorate degree in environmental management. I did emergency management system. I later specialized went into public administration, where I read public policy. So, of course, early part of my years, I did a national diploma in civil engineering. I did a national diploma in business management. I have a number of fellowships, and I'm a researcher by training, and I'm a public policy expert and environmental advisor. And more recently, I developed interest in high-tech security management. I think that is a brief about myself.
Okay, let's move now to your foray into politics. What was your first political experience?
Yeah, I think, let me say, I was part of the convener of the PDP governors in my local government, Nebusa, and also in Ahmad, Abuja Municipal Area Council in Abuja. I remember before then, I was part of All People's Party. Those parties formed under, no, it's ANC then, or Nigerian Congress or whatever. Those parties formed under the military era. But those era passed, and then I showed interest in the 1999 processes of political engineering of our country. And since then, I've been very active. I've contested the election. I went into the House of Reps, contested. I won that election, but I was declared to have lost the election because of inexperience. So, you know, political terrain in Nigeria is not always something to be proud of at times when you are a new person in the arena. I contested for Newu North, Newu South federal constituency in 2003. That was my major elective contest. And I went into that election because, like I told you, I was one of the founding members of PDP. And again, I became one of the founding members of ABDA in 2002 when we left PDP temporarily. And then, of course, I returned back to PDP in 2008. Now, I contested for election then under ABDA. And then I won, and but I couldn't take that seat. I went to the tribunal. I went to the Court of Appeal. I was knocked off by technicalities. They said I didn't pay 2,000 naira.
You didn't pay.
So and in 2009, I ventured to become governor of Anambra State. And midway, we were asked to drop for our then candidate, who eventually lost the governorship election. That's who is now in ABDA. So, and we joined to work for him to become the governor. And eventually, it wasn't quite successful. And we parted ways. Today is in ABDA. And I think and I hope that I get to meet him in the final contest.
All right, so that means you have now been in PDP since 2018.
2008.
2008 or 18, sorry.
2008, unbroken period.
All right.
I was there 1999 and 2002.
Okay.
And then 2008 and now. So you can say I'm a doing in PDP.
All right. What is the state of PDP at the moment? How will you describe the state of the party in Anambra State? Are they united, or is there a faction?
You know, whichever way you put it, you might be right. But I know PDP is more united today than it were some years back. But you will say the PDP is all very, very well in order this time around. But it's more united than it has ever been since 2007, or at least since 2003. Because the factionalization in PDP started prior to 2003 election. And the party has not gone to election as one party until now, bearing the court cases that are still in court. And I'm sure that we will go to this election as one party with one executive. And that means that we will say that PDP is better organized, better united, and more disposed to winning the governorship of Anambra State this time than at any other time since 2007.
So we can confidently say that there is no faction in Anambra PDP at the moment.
Officially, there is none. Officially, but of course, until the courts say otherwise, because there are cases in court that will have make it to be a factionalized party in Anambra State. But so far, so good. Process has started, leading to emergence of a candidate of PDP in November and June 26th of this month. So far, only one executive is recognized by our party, and you can now say that we're not factionalized for the time being.
And so the recognized chairman of PDP in Anambra State is Honorable Ndubisi Nwobu.
There's no doubt about that. It's not in contention for now, except unless the courts say otherwise.
All right. Now, let's go to Anambra State. What is your impression with the way Anambra State have been run over the past decade? We have had several governors now since 1999. starting from Chinwoke Mbadineju to the present governor, Chief Obiano. What would you say with the way the state has been run by all these individuals since 1999?
Yeah, I'm one of the people who believe everybody who takes office performs according to his ability. Nobody is a total student. Mbadineju came with all hopes that the state will find a direction. I must tell you that he tried his best, but his best may have not been enough. And that led to the state looking for another governor in 2003. And then after that election between Chris and PDP as the main contenders for that election, Chris was declared the governor of Anambra State, and PDP went to court. The 3 years of Chris of course, saw some positive developments in the state. We saw that the Anambra money can work for Anambra people, which was unlike what it used to be. And he took it up, but he was under real challenge because the process, like Peter will always say, the process of emergence of one as governor is very, very important. And that was why the process was challenged by Peter. And in 2006, Peter got the mandate back because declared him the rightful owner, the rightful winner of that contest, that election. And he assumed office on March 17th, thereby reordering the politics of Anambra State. That was the first time Anambra State moved out of the national mainstream election organization. And that's why we're having our election as off-season election. Peter was the first governor to be in office for 8 years, because there was some 3 months in which his deputy took over. This is a clear about. But the 8 years of Peter, which I was a member, I was part of that government, shows some hope and some prospects on the Anambra. It was the first time we started witnessing governance, real governance, the way governance is all about. Trust was built once again, and people started believing in us. That government crafted a program, which I was one of the people who crafted the ANIS, Anambra State Integrated Development Strategy. It became a blueprint modeled after Millennium Development Goals, giving indices for growth and development. By 2015, when Millennium Development Goals was finishing, Anambra was among, if it's a country, we are one of the few countries that achieved the goals of Millennium Development Goals. That means that that government under PDP was able to pull Anambra State from where the direction it was going into a direction that gave hope and built trust to the people, not only to the Anambra, but to the Nigerians who admire Anambra and to the international community and the development partners. We were virtually getting support, grants, loans, assistance from major development partners because of the trust. Because that government was transparent, that government was accountable, that government was out with a strategy that helped to develop Anambra State. That government left in 2014, and the present government came with a lot of hope, because the former government was able to, while many states are starting on deficit, the present government of Anambra State came with a lot of money left for them to start. So there was hope that the continuation will continue to, because remember when before PDP took over, part of the slogan we were asking is, in the Anambra, are we cost or are we the cost? Of course, PDP will have answered that question by showing the people that Anambra is not cost, rather that we are the cost. Obiano may have equally answered the question. They are showing that we are not cost. rather we are the cause. The implication means that we have problem of leadership selection. If you make a mistake in selecting your leader, it affects the trajectory of development. Now, where we ought to be today is not where we are now. The Sustainable Development Goal Agenda Vision 2030 that started in the Millennium Development Goals stopped. Anambra may have not been doing well as we did under the Millennium Development Goals. We were regarded as state with the greatest network of roads, courtesy of the effort of President and P2V, and to some extent what the present government has done. But again, we found that the maintenance culture has eluded us, and we cannot gladly give that to say that we are now the state with the best network of roads. The present government must have achieved their own successes. Like I said, there are some successes recorded, but the trajectory we are moving, we are not the current trajectory we are moving now. And that's why people like us who are aspiring to govern have decided to come to be able to know whether we can be able to return to that trajectory that was in Anambra State. Those accolades that were building trust on the people. We want to return to a point where the international community will trust us and we're able to invest in us so that we can be able to end the trust of the Anambra again and end the trust of the international community. We want to build a situation where we will no longer depend on the federal allocation. We'll be able to build resources, as it were, to take care of our numerous challenges. There are a lot of existing challenges. There are novel challenges that are emerging. Of course, you know that COVID-19 has brought novel challenges.
Yeah, Dr. Okwenna, I will come back to.
Once we continue to do things the way we used to do, we'll never survive it. We will return back to where we were.
Okay, I will come back to. We will come back to this topic of.
I think basically every governor that have governed Anambra have achieved some measure of successes. There are some people who perform better than others. And we believe, and I know, in the Anambra will look for a governor this time around that will be able to give them one of the best, that will be able to put them back on the trajectory of growth and development. So that's what Anambra State needs now, especially now that the challenges are becoming many.
Dr. Okwenna, we thank you very much. I hope are you hearing me, sir?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, okay. Now, let's be clear on this point. Did you work in the administration of former Governor P2V?
Yeah, I was. I was the Commissioner for Environment, Mineral Resources, Science and Technology. And I was one of the people who drafted the ANIS documents that was used as the economic and growth plan for that government.
And so there'll be no doubt that if I ask you to rate the governors we have had, who is the best? Nobody will doubt who your choice will be as the best governor we've had so far in this state.
The success story. So I wouldn't rate any other person other than the government I served, because we have never had it so good until that government came. And since that government left, I don't think you can honestly say we're getting better. You cannot say that because we are from Anambra, and my good brother from me, so you'll be able to know, even to rate the governments of Anambra State. That government is still rated the best by every Anambran. That's the objective.
All right. In your previous statement, you said something about leadership selection. Now, what would you say about the process that led to the emergence of Obiano as the present governor?
Well, I think it was that choice was not based on any known practical reality, because and that's what Anambra people must be careful of this time around. Obiano is a wonderful man, good heart, but he didn't go to the school we all went, the school of governance and the school of politics. So you were not expecting him to play the politics or the politicians. I think that's where we got it wrong. And if you are not part of that, that's why many people go to leadership school, to be able to manipulate and be able to reorganize themselves in the reality of corporate governance and in the area of public governance. If you want to be a governor of, a chief executive of a blue chip company, you can't just emerge from anywhere. And that's why you go to business schools and short courses across major business schools across the world. And for that, you don't expect you coming to be governor of Anambra State with the pedigree that you were a successful banker. That, to me, is not the CV to be the governor of Anambra State, because there is a whole lot of difference. I will tell you my experience as time progressed. When I arrived at Awka to resume as Commissioner for Environment, even though I worked in a number of organizations before I arrived, I had my experience, which I don't wish any of my enemies, because virtually everything I touch, they tell me it doesn't work. And coming from international community and the private sector, we don't believe that's the power of impossibility. So I arrived and I found that virtually I need to play the politics of getting to understand the people I am supposed to work with. And it took me quite some months. But because I had experience working with the Prime Minister of Health, and later working in the presidency and working in the National Assembly, I was able to understand the politics of Anambra State. And I came back, I told them it must work. And when I was appointed Commissioner of Environment, you know what they said? They said there are a lot of waste and garbage in Anambra. Send Ifedi Okwenna to Onitsha garbage. Garbage will swallow him. That he wouldn't know what is happening in government. But unfortunately, and fortunately for me, I was removing those garbages and cleaning the environment, turning waste to wealth, and doing everything, and yet to be involved in governance. That was why I was involved in creating ANIX. That's because I had the experience. Eventually, I became the best commissioner in Nigeria for 2 consecutive years, 2007 and 2008. Because of backlog of experience, I came to government with. So the power of impossibility never happened. But if you don't come with that experience and you arrive at Goka to become governor of Anambra State, you will fail. We will have a peculiar situation. And that's why we're telling this to the Anambra, that if you want to start our government and set it running, you need one with experience. Even my boss, who was a success in government, it took him a lot of time to learn. And that's why we leverage on people like us who have been around.
Yeah, that is what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask, because going by your thesis, for one to succeed as a governor, he must have played in the system, but P2B did not play in the system. He just came in, and then according to your testimony, he did very well.
Yes, let me tell you why. P2B became governor out of passion. I know when you are passionate about everything, you learn fast. Obiano wasn't passionate about being governor of Anambra State. I don't think anybody can counter me on that. Obiano was begged and lured to come and be governor. As a matter of fact, he told us that he was in a swimming pool when he was called to be governor. Unlike P2B, who was passing up Iweka and saw where somebody said was cut off by the Dame Bakassi, and he swore that these things must stop. So he came here with passion, even though he had no experience. But because there was passion, he picked the best hands. Some of us were brought in. And because we came in with practical experience in public administration and governance, he relied mainly on some of us to be able to get that document And because he's a disciplined person, he's highly transparent and accountable, he was able to
I think we're having a little hiccup. We hope our guest will come back immediately to continue speaking to us. Some patience, please. I know some of his aides are around, so yes. I think his internet is playing up. Can you please unmute yourselves? I think you come back in. Or is it your other device? Okay, I think it's the other device he tried initially.
Yeah, it's his other device. He has two devices in.
Okay. All right. Dr. Elombah, nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you, my brother Dan. Thank you for the great job you're doing.
Well, it is part of this discussion we are having, is because I think if our previous governors were held up in the light we are holding the okay, all right, our guest is back. So let's have the discussion later on. Doctor, you are welcome back to the program. I understand your internet played up.
Yeah, yes. Sorry about that. So I was thinking, the difference was very, very clear. So the passion, the team, if there's anything PDP succeeded very well in, he succeeded in selecting a team. In that cabinet, especially the first cabinet of PDP, nobody was raising his head. We believe we had a boss, and we are all working together. Because if you work with somebody who will influence you, you'll be able to lower your head. All of us were trying to learn, especially those who learned before. Some were equally trying to learn the character of the man, P2B. There was something that made P2B unique then, which some of us who came from the public service, we tried to learn money management personally. The man was managing money very well. And that was part of the success stories he recorded. So I believe basically that there were two differences between the present governor and the former governor. One came here with passion. He was pushed by what he saw, and he selected a team that was able to give him success. The other one was begged to come. And, the passion would have been developed when he came in. Because, like I said, he's not a total failure. He made some successes, or he's making some successes as it were. So these are the things that are needed for us to get somebody who will take us and move this state to a place, because the state has a lot of great potentials, very many potentials. But like I said, when the leadership selection is fought, definitely we'll get it wrong.
All right, let's also get these facts clear before we move to the problem of governing Anambra State. How long did you start in P2B's administration? For how many years?
I was here for 2 years plus.
Okay, how long did you serve? Yeah, how long did you serve in Obasanjo? You also served in Obasanjo's presidency, I understand.
Yeah.
You served as his assistant, isn't it?
Yes, too.
All right. So what would you say is the greatest problem facing Anambra State today?
Well, Anambra had, as a state, with great potential, has a number of challenges, like I said at the beginning. Our greatest challenge today is leadership. God gave us virtually everything, but our greatest challenge is leadership. It's because when you get, it's not like when Solomon was asked to take, God asked Solomon to make one request. He said he needs wisdom. People will have expected him to ask for money, wealth, children, and this. But because he was able to ask for wisdom, God gave him everything. If we're able to get leadership right in Anambra, I tell you, most of our challenges will be tackled. Because it surprised me that the way Anambra, the caliber of human resources we have in Anambra, at times when we get the kind of governor we have, the kind of leaders we have, we start wondering whether it's still Anambra, they have the best of the best. Apart from this, we now look at security challenges. But we are not started very well. We have to be stopped in moving the security challenges of our state. Eventually, as the government progressed, we started derailing. Apart from this, you have the problem of infrastructure. Anambra is a state that lacks virtually all kind of infrastructure that makes a state to move comfortably. We don't even have a government house. Barely 30 years after creation, we'll be 30 this year. We still operate from a makeshift structure used by the company that constructed the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. That is still a government house. The governor's lodge is still that place. The judges were built to under the old Anambra state. The judges in Oka are supposed to be where the chief judge of Oka, the judge of Oka High Court was supposed to live. That is still a governor's lodge today. So we don't even have infrastructure. Oka is still like a glorified local government. We developed literally on that Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. Everything you see, you want to see in Oka, drive along that road. You see either on the left or on the right. That is Oka for you. So the infrastructure challenge. So governance, the government has not put sustainable infrastructure, neither the state or the federal government. So basically, we lack, because of absence of infrastructure, we now lack governance structure. Because the appetencies of government makes for good governance. If there is no secretariat, as it were, there was no secretariat when people became. The civil servants were no longer comfortable staying in Enugu and coming to Oka and staying. My office as a commissioner was in a private home. But we move out from that. We now have a secretariat, courtesy of that government. We don't have a governor's lodge. We don't have, as deputy governors still live in private houses. They still rent apartment for a deputy governor. So you find that these are our greatest challenges. So for that, with governance is always lacking in cohesion and organization. In addition to all our normal challenges, which is urban population explosion and urban migration, people living rarely. Imagine somebody living Enugu Agidi and Enugu to move into Oka to live. These places are within the capital territory. But because we don't have development of infrastructure, we don't have housing programs, we don't have urban planning system, which will have made somebody in Enugu or somebody in Enugu Agidi or somebody in Abagana to still feel that is part of the capital city. You don't need to go and cluster themselves around government near the makeshift government house. That's where everybody's clustered to go and live. And the road network are still the old village roads that were tarred. When you see planned city, which habitat UN Habitat did for us, and which was started by P2B for implementation, and which has today been abandoned. The designs that are supposed to be, that are part of that, the infrastructure that are part of that design is not what we have on ground.
But the point here is also that people say that that plan was even abandoned under P2B's administration. P2B failed to follow that plan to its logical conclusion. Why is that?
Of course, that was a 20-year development plan. There was a structural plan for 20 years, and which will terminate in 2020. You don't do it 1 year. By the time that plan came, P2B had barely 3 years or 2 years to go. So you wouldn't have developed the 20-year plan in 2 years. So he started a massive urban renewal program. That massive urban renewal program was what was started until he left.
Okay, let's come to your plan, sir. Okay, so let's come to your plan, sir. How do you intend to tackle this infrastructural challenge facing Anambra State?
Thank you very much. I believe that the Anambra of my dream is Anambra that is developing all sectors simultaneously. We are building what we call CIDAS, Comprehensive Integrated Development of Anambra State. That is my blueprint to govern Anambra State. And CIDAS program is to develop infrastructure backbone for the state, create wealth, improve the standard of living, start thinking of physical discipline, building trust, and building appetencies of government. I've told part of my program is that I'm going to build the capital city. I'm going to build a government house so that we will now comfortably say that after 30, 31, 32 years, Anambra will have arrived at a government house. It is a very important aspect of our governance. The CIDAS we encapsulated is mainstreamed after the Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations, Vision 2030. And for that, we are capturing every sector's education, health, agriculture, industries, and the rest of them. My government will be built on 5 core objectives and 27 innovative plans. My mantra for coming to govern Anambra State is innovate Anambra State. Innovate Anambra means is coming because if we continue to do things the same way we've been doing it all this while, we'll be getting the same result. You can't do things the same way and get a different result. But I know that we cannot achieve or solve our challenges as a nation, both existing and novel challenges, with the same way we are doing it today. And that's why we are coming with the concept of Innovate Anambra. Under Innovation of Anambra, we are trying to bring a system that will tell us where we are today, where we want to be, and how do we get there, and how do we get the resources that will lead us to getting there. Is that so important? I'm not coming to promise you something I don't know where I'm going to get the resources from. Perhaps I don't know that I work with a number of international agencies, and I know how we can get where we want to be. We will start in the first few months of my coming to start building trust. Our people have lost trust on our government. The international community has equally lost trust on Anambra government. And that's why, because we are not transparent, we are not accountable. Our money is not working for us. And if your money is not actually working, your people are not getting any value for your money, it will be difficult for you to access people. You know, my former boss, as if talked about take home. I'm not begging you to come home, but I will create an enabling environment for you to even beg to come home. Anambra State is a blessed place, a land filled with milk and honey. And I tell you that all we need is leadership. All we need is an organized structure, a program, a concept people can read and know where we are and where we are going, for people to now invest and be part of it. For instance, my agri policy is leveraging on what Okpala did. Do you know I have to go and study a document from Michael Okpala Premiership as Premier of Eastern Nigeria? And I asked myself, why did I go to research on that? I asked myself, why was Biafra, when it was declared in 1967, was regarded as the fastest developing country in the whole of Africa? Something happened. Somebody did something. And when I picked that document, I found the industrial policy and the agricultural policy of our administration. I dusted it up, cleaned it up, innovated it, and brought it to the standard it's supposed to be today. Our target in industrialization will be that we must pursue food. We must pursue shelter, and we must pursue clothing. If you get these two things and then put ICT and the automobile into it, we are set to go. We cannot, in agri policy, which will lead to industrialization policy, we will make sure that something produced in Anambra does not leave. I know raw product produced in Anambra will leave Anambra without adding value to it. Because when you don't add value, you lose job. We are losing a lot of jobs out of Anambra, and that's why over 70% of our best brain are outside. What we have is the last 30% that are here. And that is why under my 5 core objectives, I said the first thing is that we must work to make Anambra State a destination. Dan, tell me what will make you to come to Anambra State to stay now. If you are coming all the way from Los Angeles and you are coming to Nigeria, what will bring you to stay in Anambra State? Virtually nothing. You are here in US, you find that each state is known for one thing. Any state you go, there must be something that state is known for. And that's what I want to do in Anambra State. We must be known for something. We must be known for commerce, trade, and industry, because that is who we are. You are a trader, I am a trader. All of us are traders. Can't we leverage on what we have to make a name for ourselves? Anambra State will be returned to a destination especially for the youth and our mobile people. If you don't innovate our state, our youth cannot come here to stay. And that's why the second objective is that we must make here a center of innovation and entrepreneurship. God gave us everything, virtually everything as a people. We cannot start looking for work. Zero unemployment is achievable in Anambra. You know why? Then from anywhere to anywhere you are, everybody is eager to start something on its own. All you need is a government that will synergize and catalyze the people. We are going to invest in startups. The startups will be made in clusters. We are not going to allow one youth or two to go and start something. We bring them in a cluster of 3, 4, 5. By that cluster of 5, starting and giving them grant to move on after training them, you are creating 5 managing directors and 5 companies emerging from that with a lot of jobs being given to a lot of people after a very short time. The same thing with women. When we organize it in cooperatives, you make them to be able to take care of themselves. Nobody will start looking for a job, but they will start to create jobs. And secondly, again, we want to return to the center, the time where Onitsha was regarded as the biggest and largest market in Africa. Because we are trying to leverage on who we are. If we know that we are traders, definitely as traders, we will develop our place to be one of the best markets around. But we have forgotten this. Have you ever ventured to enter to the Shaman market? Time where every big man in Eastern Nigeria must have a shop in the main market. Can you ever venture to walk in there now? It is a disaster. I tried to do that and it was shocking. Those guys living there, staying there and doing this, they are magicians. We must return that place to a place where services are working. Do you know that? Do you know that we have about $3 billion circulating in Onitsha and environment? What do you do with that kind of thing? How can you be a governor and they leave that kind of money? 40% are unbankable, into unbankable, sorry, they don't enter into a bank. Those are money circulating in that setup. And if you're a governor and you know within a certain part of your state, 3 billion turnover is what you get in 1 year. Can't you invest in that place to make that place a livable place?
We thank you. Let's because in the next 10 minutes we'll start taking questions from our guests who are listening to you. Anambra has serious infrastructural challenges, just as you've been enumerating now, and we have seen your passion to solve these infrastructural problems. How do you intend to get the money? Seeing that we now see that not much money is now coming from FAAC, from the federal government. Dr. Okwenna, are you still with us? Or I think the light go off. Sorry, let's wait for our guests to come back. I think there is another hiccup. Meanwhile, if you are listening to us, please get ready with your questions. In the next 9 minutes or so, we'll start taking questions from those who've been listening to our guest. But meanwhile, let's allow him to sort out another internet interruption. Yes, our guest is back.
Because Dan, you know, I was part of the team, what we call the team that looked at way to raise IGR, the IGR team when we came in. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think you're frozen. We are no longer hearing you, sir, but it appears you are still speaking. Your device shows you are still speaking, but we are no longer hearing you.
The money we were making was nothing to, and are you hearing me?
I think there was an interruption. If we can go back
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. If you can start again now, how do you intend to raise the IGR rating in Anambra State?
Yes, I can tell you comfortably that because I was part of the team that raised the IGR under the PDP government, we will reinvent and innovate the system for IGR in Anambra State. Do you know, hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you, sir. Go on.
Yeah. Do you know that the problem here is not that we don't have resources? The problem here is because we have loopholes. There's a lot of corruption in the IGR collection system in Anambra State. There is no data to say this is how much we're anticipating. Even though this government has improved on the IGR system, yet it's still less than 20% of what we need to get. Can you come to a situation where you come to a place like say, Fege in Onitsha, you give it to somebody, you don't know how many people are in the tax net, and you now tell somebody to give you 5 million naira, and the person will take over the job, pay you 5 million naira, and make over 70 million. Don't you know the state is losing 65 million under that situation? We will start first and foremost to do data development. we'll be able to know how many people are in our tax net. We'll start the e-wallet system of collecting our revenue. If e-wallet can work among farmers, among illiterate farmers, especially in northern Nigeria, e-wallet can work effectively in collection of taxes here to be able to curb corruption. The situation whereby we now know how many people are in our tax net, we'll be able to know how we can capture more people to enter into our tax net. A situation where we'll be able to have less tolerance to corruption in collection of tax. It will make more people to pay. If you don't need to go to tax office, where you'll be told to cut down your income, to be able to pay less taxes. And if we have a system where by the punching a button on your phone, your assessment is recorded. You get your assessment from the first week of the year, and you pay directly from transfer of money from your phone. It will make for a lot of people to start paying tax. But I remember I went to pay tax recently. I spent so much time trying to beg people to assess me. I spent so much time trying to pay. And again, they will tell you his network is so poor. And at the end of the day, they will tell you why not cut the costs and pay less and give us this. It still exists in Anambra State today. Now, we think of a situation whereby we do less manual work and less assessment work to be able to do that tax net, in IGR net. And then this is for tax system. Do you know that in agriculture alone, we're going to make a lot of money through agriculture? Do you know we're going to make a lot of money through land administration? I'm going to introduce effective land administration and management system. And I'm going to make Anambra State a city state. That is the first bill that will come from my desk to Anambra State House of Assembly. And when we become a city state, every land in Anambra State is captured in a geological system. And Google map can trace it. And the governor of Anambra State will sign CO of every land in Anambra State, no matter how remote that land is, because that land has become part of Anambra City. This, in addition to raising our revenue, will help us to fight poverty. Because when you have the CO of a land in the village, that land becomes, even your mansion, Dan, I know that your mansion in will turn to money when I give you CO of that land. And you are going to be paying us. I won't beg you to pay us because you know that if you don't pay me, your land becomes worthless. And through that, we'll be raising so much money from so many areas. So we are going to invest a lot in ICT. And when we do that, we capture a lot of people in our tax net. And then we're going to invest in housing to be able to capture, because of infrastructure levy, which a lot of people will pay, we are going to make a lot of. So we are introducing so many. Why we are not increasing effectively the amount you pay, we are expanding the net where we are going to capture. And again, because we are going to build trust and play a transparent government, we are going to attract a lot of grants and support from the development partners. And
right,
through that will be increasing.
Go on, sir.
Revenue.
Continue.
So we'll be increasing our revenue in every sector. I must tell you that that's why I say it's innovation government. Every program I'm going to run has financial components. I don't know where you know that. Every program has financial components.
That is, there must be the financial backup for any of their program.
I must say, I can't run a for Christmas because we are saying we are going to run a private sector free market economy with minimal governmental control. So that everything, instead of running a system whereby that system becomes a welfare system, you will be able to make, I was Commissioner of Environment. When I came into Anambra State, the revenue we were generating in waste management was 400,000 naira. But within 6 months, we started generating 19 million. And within the first 9 months, our money increased to 48 million. Now, our total cost for cleaning Anambra State then was around 19 to 3 million. And we started making 40-something million. I will not making profit.
Let me ask this question at this point, sir. What is the current revenue profile of Anambra State?
Well, Anambra State revenue profile is still oscillating. We're about 14th among the states of Nigeria. The government tried well in 2019, last year, and we were able to increase our revenue profile from where it used to be.
So how much is Anambra generating internally now? Do you have an idea?
I don't have the current idea of what they are generating.
Okay, if we also have an idea, how much do we normally get from the FAAC monthly now? Do we also have that figure now?
Hello?
Yeah, how much do we get from FAAC, that is federally allocated revenue now?
Of course, that varies from time to time. In this present period of reduced allocation from the operation account, where our revenue is gradually dwindling. I know that the time was up to 6 billion. And gradually, there was a time it was higher than that. Sometimes it goes, it's not something steady.
All right.
As at today.
Okay.
Because of the revenue that comes from federal government, which is no longer steady.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. At this point, we are happy to take questions from our listeners, and then I'll be interjecting with my own questions as well. So let's take the first question from Maze Obunike Ohebu. Are you still there with us? And then we'll take a question from Mr. Tango Gochupu as well. If Obumi is not here, Maze Tango, you can.
I'm here, please.
Okay,
here.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, ask your question.
I will start by thanking you, Barrister Elombah, for what you are doing. You've actually set another standard for the Anambra. 3 days ago, I was discussing with one of the aspirants, and he made some comments, and I reminded him, you are doing this, at least to the best of my knowledge, free of charge, paying the bills yourself and all that, just providing us the platform to come and listen to our leaders, and it's quite commendable. Thank you very much, Elombah. Having said that, I must start by acknowledging that Dr. Okwenna is my brother. I think he's only aspirant in PDP that is from Nnewi South, my local government. And I congratulate him for the post. I have just 2 questions, or 3. One, PDP. I hope I'm still on.
Yeah, we are listening.
Yeah. PDP in 2017, for the first time after some years, was able, the Professor ABC Nwosu-led caretaker committee was able to at least organize 1 primaries for the gubernatorial election. I'm sure you will assume that should be taken for granted, but that was not the case before the Professor ABC Nwosu-led committee. This time around, I'm hoping that it will be taken further by the entire PDP working together. So my question to my very good brother is, will he be ready to support any candidate that wins the PDP primary? I'm asking this question, and I'm aware of the fact that there could be so many excuses why somebody will not support another candidate. If it's a development that you're already aware of. For instance, you are aware that delegates election will be done on 10th June. The results will not be published or made public until 25th June, when the primaries will be done on 26th June. As at now, all the aspirants are working towards that. Nobody has complained. We also know that you have paid so much for this. You pay to the national, you pay to the zone, you pay to the state, and you still bought form. With these teams that you have not complained against, now being your reasons for protesting, peradventure, but God forbid if you don't win the primaries. That is one question. My second question is this: government is a continuum. You've made a lot of points, especially on the reason why we should have befitting state governor's lodge and all that. But from my records, even as at the time the government you work with handed over to the incumbent, and it has not changed. 5 local governments in Anambra State do not have general hospital. And the irony of it is that Nnewi North is one of the local governments, because the Mburi Hospital was handed over to Nnamdi Azikiwe University. The state is not playing any role in the movement of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Teaching Hospital moving to the Palm side so that they could take back their hospital. So as at that time and even up to date, there's no, you could say that the state government is not playing any role in the secondary health sector in Anambra State. Another local government, you will be surprised that it's Onitsha South and Ayamelum, Anambra West, and Oyi. So how are you going to prioritize this? Are you going to this and having a befitting state capital and ensuring that access to health by the Anambra? Which one are you going to take first? And do you think the state has the funds to take on all these things? Of course, I acknowledge, I heard what you said about closing the loopholes. From my investigation, even the money that is being generated in Onitsha North, the hospital in Onitsha North should be able to pay the salaries of everybody working in the State Ministry of Health. So how are you going to manage the resources now? How do you prioritize it? My second question is this.
Your third. You have already asked.
Oh, my third and the final. My third and the final.
Okay.
My third and the final. Every year, every May, we have challenges shutting down this. Probably some youth protesting in the past. Quite a number of people have needlessly lost their lives because of the Biafran, celebration, Biafran Memorial. As a governor, will you consider sending a bill to the State Assembly for the Biafran Day to be made a public holiday in Anambra State, so that the state will take charge of that memorial celebration, so that we can say, if the state is in charge, it could be taken off hands of people who are not state actors, and you can manage it better. Because definitely an average Anambra man, an average Igbo man believes that should be celebrated. But it's a different thing if you're asking them to vote whether to have a geographical space called Biafra. There are two different things. Will you, as a governor, send the bill to the State Assembly
All right.
requesting for that day to be made public. And on a lighter note, I heard what you said about the incumbent. Probably, don't you think is equally indictment on the previous government in terms of failure to plan for the transition? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Samazo. So that let's move on to the. It's a very triple barreled question, not double barrel this time. So let's listen to our guest.
Yeah, my brother Bunike, thank you very much. I know you asked a very intriguing question. Thank you for that. The emergence, the PDP primaries, and the emergence of a candidate which all of us will be ready to support. First and foremost, I know I'm going to emerge as a candidate of PDP. So definitely the question is, will they support me? So I know to support. You know, there's something that we are doing among us in this generation of aspirants. We are brothers, we are friends. Forget what we say when we are out there. We are always having meetings, we always talk. I just walked into this program from a meeting of aspirants. And what are we telling ourselves? The King Governorship of Anambra is far more important. Everyone, because we know that this is the best opportunity we are having since 2006. This is the best opportunity we are having. And then as in the Anambra are waiting for us. I must tell you that each and every one of the only small intriguing thing that is affecting us is the issue of zoning, which we are easily not running away from. Because the other day, I think it was yesterday, I saw Haneze, Anambra State, publishing a letter declaring they are insistent that the governorship of Anambra State is zoned to Anambra South. And that is why recently, 12 of us from Anambra South had a communique after our meeting. And we said, any of us that emerged from Anambra South, all of us in Anambra South will support the person. So we know that elections are not perfectly free, fair, and credible. But like we always say, when literally translated means that let mischief not be far more bigger than actual work. And we believe that going forward, that we're going to have a credible primaries, or a near credible primary, an acceptable, credible, acceptable primaries. Because it is important for us to be able to win this ticket now. And that is why PDP has the largest number of aspirants. It's because we see it, the opportunity that a winner of the governorship race election in November 6 will be a PDP man. So everybody, many people want to be governor. And that's why we have more in PDP, because we have more chances and brighter chances. So I think definitely we emerge this time around stronger. We are having a meeting and we're always asking ourselves this. We're always talking to ourselves and begging ourselves that a carcass, a PDP, a ticket that is worthless does not help any of us. If I'm going to be a ticket holder and not a governorship, a governor-elect, I mean, what benefit is it to me? If I arrive,
I'm sorry to interject, but I'm only interjecting because of the limited time we may have, and if we have a lot of questions, if you spend all your time on answering Mazo Hebus, I know he's your brother, but let's not. So just a quick reminder, sir. So the second and third question is about, I think I've mentioned, yes, the lack of secondary health facilities. Yes, health.
Yes. Yeah, on that one, I have a health policy plan. And that health policy plan has financial plan for funding our healthcare in Anambra State. I'm going to put a general hospital in all the, not only the local government with that general hospital, there are state constituencies that are big and have no secondary healthcare. And again, we will venture into making sure that we have a workable primary healthcare, especially in our villages, because that is nearest to people. And then we make sure the secondary healthcare is available in almost all the constituencies. Now, I looked at part of my plan that the greatest challenges we have to healthcare have been absence of enough infrastructure and distance to hospitals. And that's why I'm going to introduce an emergency health system, a mobile hospital using ambulances, well-equipped ambulances. I'm going to buy a minimum of 120 ambulances, and each ambulance will have a nurse and the medical doctor. And you can track it using an app. The same way Uber is being used is what the system I'm going to apply, whereby anywhere you are, in 5 minutes, a mobile ambulance is there when emergency panic button is pressed. And you are having access to a medical doctor, you are having access to a nurse, and you're having access to a vehicle that will take you from there and convey you to either a tertiary hospital or a secondary hospital, as the case may be. So we are not only talking about the fact that you are going to have this infrastructure, but you are going to have an emergency healthcare system that will make you to be 5 minutes away from a medical doctor.
All right, Dr. Okwenna, I'm sorry again. I think the third question is regarding Mazahebu's third question, please, so that we take other. There are so many hands, and we want everybody to have a bite.
Yeah, from memorial.
Okay.
But I don't see anything wrong with memorials. These are our brothers. It's when we don't dialogue with that we have all these problems around us. I must tell you that as a governor, I will not only go out of my way to start talking of Anambra, declaring a public holiday, a memorial as memorials, but we get our brothers in the Southeast. The Southeast governors can decide to have a public day holiday, asking our respective houses of assembly to declare public holidays on a certain day, which we will dedicate to memorials. It can be Biafra memorials. It can be what they call how we lost our brave men and women across the wars that took place in the past. But for me, there is need for us to always remember. I've written a book on this as a person, that there will be time we will have Thanksgiving. There's time we will have memorials. That these things are, because I'm going to build a World Igbo History Museum in Anambra. And if I can invest in building a World Igbo History Museum, what is that? It's a memorial already. I'm already making people to remember, because a lot of our younger people who are born abroad doesn't know the Igbo history.
Dr. Okwenna, if I may interject a little bit, I think Mazi Ohebu's question is with special regards to, I think, May 30 or 31 Biafra Day, which often leads to the loss of life between the state security forces and the people who are observing that memorial on that particular day. So are you committing to declare that date a public holiday to remember the Biafran armed forces that lost their lives, or all those who lost their lives during the Nigeria Civil War?
I think that is already in the works, already by President Government. And I don't think I'm coming to office, I will go and interject it. No, it's something good.
Very good.
Because it's already.
All right. We thank you very much, sir. Let's take the next question, sir. Mr. Tango Ugochukwu, please. You can unmute yourself. Tango.
I have only, Elombah, thank you for honoring me. I have only 2 questions. I'm asking because I've been listening from start. He was saying they have no program for security, and he knows already that nothing works without security. All that he's saying. And this is a question. Another question again is, he was a Minister of Environment under P2B. Under his watch and P2B, if I'm not mistaken, the Minister of Environment take care of environment and protect the environment. How does he and P2B protect the environment when over 80 cups of his were dumped in the Ezu River? If I'm not mistaken, was he the Minister of Environment that time? Or did he bring any idea?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Tango. Let's listen to our guest.
Yeah, I think it can be fair to say I didn't say anything about security. I have a very elaborate security plan, my brother. And under me as governor, people will go and sleep in Anambra because I have a very wonderful security plan, which if time will permit me, I will elaborate my security arrangement for Anambra State. You cannot talk about development of Anambra State if you don't put emphasis on security. As a matter of fact, my security program entails both human job creation, getting the facilities workable, creating the security. As a matter of fact, you cannot think of security only from the military aspect of it. The ability to put a transparent government, to get people, carry people along and make people to understand the workings of government in their respective communities and being part of the system is part of solving security situation of the place. Then the administration of criminal justice system 2015, being able to domesticate it, to make sure our police system is improved, to make sure our correctional system is improved, to make sure our courts are improved, is part of fighting security of the situation of the state. I'm going to get Anambra Vigilante working effectively. Either it's under Bubago or whatever, or ESM. But the most important thing is that we will create a system whereby we will be able to train our Anambra Vigilante service. And in training them, we will first and foremost be able to get their data system, be able to have be able to capture them in our system and centralize the operations. And we'll be able to get a data management system for security data system. And by so doing, we now have what we call the surveillance team, the intelligence team, which will be created out of Anambra Vigilante system. We are going to have a rescue team, a search and rescue team. We are going to have anti-terrorist scheme, and we are going to, I'm a high-tech security expert. We are going to start using high-tech to plant hidden cameras in hidden places, in all those places that are, especially in places like OP-Web, so that we'll be able to capture activities taking place. As a governor, I'm going to capture the security of Anambra State from the comfort of my office, so that we'll be able to use facial identification to identify any criminals we can track.
But how are we going to do that in a state where there is poor power infrastructure?
Of course, that is part of, that's because the question, what we are here for does not allow me opportunity to narrate my 27 innovative innovative plans, which dealt on power issue, on places we want to do that. We can introduce embedded system in some area. We can introduce different kind of power arrangement in some areas, just to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. I won't be talking of ICT when I won't talk of power. You know that when I tell you I'm going to work put a lot on ICT. You know, I'm going to talk extensively on power. So definitely our security system will be so top notch that, because to me it's one of, you remember when I told you the greatest challenges of Anambra, I mentioned security as one of the greatest challenges. And I want you coming to run Anambra State without having a top notch security arrangement. So definitely, my brother, just relax. You are going to have the best security ever with me as governor. Time may not be able to permit me to do that. On the floating bodies in Ezu River.
Yes.
What those things we say about is that, one, as a commissioner of environment, my job was not, I don't think I was there when the issue came up. I don't know when I left. They asked me that question when I started this program. And I know that there we have public health issues, which is even quite under the health department. But that issue remains a controversial issue. Even though I was out of the system when it happened, but it remained a controversial issue. It's even, I remember the present governor was he that set up a panel of inquiry into that, which is still ongoing. But the issue remains that we should be able to allow, there are certain things that happen in security arrangement, which we as ordinary commissioners in different areas may not even know. So why I'm not holding brief to whoever was Commissioner of Environment at that point in time. You are not expecting him to be able to know how dead bodies were brought into that. He's not supposed to do the investigation. Everything about that has to do with the security arrangement of the state and the nation. Of course, you know that even though the governors are the chief security officers of their respective states, but every ordinary investigation on such thing comes from Abuja, the Inspector General of Police. So there's no way a Commissioner of Environment and Minister of Environment, as the case may be, will be involved or know what happened. We don't even attend Security Council meeting of our respective state as an Environment Commission. So you are not supposed to know what happened.
Elombah, my question I asked him is, as a Minister of Environment, how he treated the hazard, not security, because security is for police, really you are right in that one. But which idea, if your idea or not, what, how do you help to treat the hazard? You know, 80 cops in the river and people are drinking the water, and people are fishing the water. How was it treated or managed that time?
Well, I don't know. I would say this is how it was managed, but I know I wasn't there. And if you want me to start telling you how I will have treated it, it will become an academic exercise. And I don't think we are going to do a lot of academic exercise. But you know that there are ways and means to clean up a river that have been polluted by corpses. Mm-hmm. All of us, there are scientific ways to do that. And I believe that whoever will have been there must have done something. Because Ezu River today is still a river that is flowing. I know there must be the contamination processes that must have taken place. If I was seated as a commissioner then, I will ensure that those corpses are effectively removed. I will have ensured that the river is decontaminated. I must ensure that we will make that river effective for human use again. I will have make sure that for some time nobody gets that river until we're able to decontaminate that river. So that is natural. But for me, therefore, because I know that if I become governor, as it were, and of course, such a thing will not be allowed to happen. But if eventually, because I love human life, so to the extent I can be able to control, I'll make sure it doesn't happen.
All right, let's take the next question. So thank you very much for addressing that question. Buchi Ademora, please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, good evening all.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Okwenna. I'm glad to be here, and I've been following all that has been going on. I would like you to enlighten us on the area of sports. We know that the young ones are energetic people, and if we don't put them to use meaningfully, other restiveness and other things will come forward. When we were younger, we used to hear of Akada. I think most of us here also played Akada those days in secondary schools and all those things. And we hardly hear of such things again. And as it stands now, Anambra State cannot even boast of any stadium. And we can also agree that a good number of athletes and professional players, and that have made this country proud from Anambra State. So what is your administration going to do in the area of sports so that our youth can be gainfully involved and sports will become a glorious thing once again in Anambra State? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Buchi. Is our guest still here or? Dr. Okwenna, please. Let's have some patience. I think there is another internet connection problem. If you can unmute yourself, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but you finished.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay, I think you hit me in my natural terrain. I ran a football club in Abuja, and when I became commissioner, I brought that club to Anambra State. That club played up to the National League. And if my experience was anything to go by when I took that club from Abuja to Anambra State, I know as governor, I will do something fast because there is crisis in sports in Anambra State. This is a state with a lot of potentials in sports, which I said it. When you hear Delta, Edo, and Lagos winning the National Sports Festival, most of the time, a lot of athletes are from Anambra. SC7 and so many other states, Kaduna and the rest of them, they are from Anambra. But unfortunately, we are not investing in sports effectively as we're supposed to do. I have an elaborate sports plan. When I become governor, I will make sure that we return sports to the top notch in Anambra. We will start what we call the Headmaster Cup. Headmaster Cup for primary schools. We will return the Principal Cup for all the secondary schools. We are going to return the Governor's Cup to make it, that is the State Challenge Cup, the Federation Cup. For all the clubs, we make it to become the best tournament in the state. And we have the Chairman's Cup for all markets in Anambra State. We are going to invest in those non-football, those areas where we call non-major club. You know, most of the time we look at them as smaller games, sporting events, like wrestling, like gymnastics, like swimming, because we want us to win the National Sports Festival under my tenure as governor. And for us to win the National Sports Festival, we must be able to invest in those lesser sports. We call the lesser sports because in Nigeria, everybody think about football. But we will introduce athletic competition once again, introduce swimming competition once again, and train our kids from the schools. Time when some schools in Anambra were playing cricket. I don't know whether we have any secondary school now that is playing cricket. We get back to that era again. Those areas are not as costly as football that we invest so much money and win one medal at the end of the day. I realize that sports is one of the easiest ways to fight crime and improve on the security and life of the people of the state. And when that a governor like me comes in with all these tournaments, we're going to select the best of our young men and women to play in better leagues abroad, both in athletics leagues. Time where when the innocent Ebony case of this world went to colleges in the United States and were playing in the best athletic leagues, we will return to that era. And when that happens, we start making sure that we're taking our kids to a better height. The sports infrastructure will be improved.
All right, we thank you very much, sir. I think you have addressed that question. Thank you for interrupting again. May I call a lady in the room? We've been asking this man all the while. To ask whether I can have your full name, but you can now give us your full name because it's not on your system. And then please ask your question. First of all, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm having issues with me.
All right, go ahead. Ask your question. Tell us your name, please.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you very well. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Barrister Tusti Afam Obi.
Good.
Yeah, I'm from Anambra State, resident in Lagos. And I've been in Anambra for some weeks now, preaching politics without money, politics without Ghana must go back, and preaching politics without Godfatherism. Yeah, because my observation here in Anambra State is that they are not after the agenda of whoever they want to be our governor. What they're after is, does he have money? You know, I came in a bit late because I was at a ward meeting, and what I was hearing, no, this one has money, so we're going to vote for him. This one has. When you have money, is he empty? What about his agenda? What about his manifesto? Is it money that we're interested in? That is just my preamble. I had two questions before now. The first was to be on insecurity, but somebody has taken it up. Then the second one is gender-based. And my question, Your Excellency, sir, is what is your plan for the women? Because where I am coming from, which is the southwestern states, they made it a policy that a governor, then the deputy must be a woman. But in Anambra State, it is not like that. I don't know why you don't, Anambrans don't believe in women. I don't understand. So that's the question. I'm a Rotarian, I'm a past Rotary president, and I know that our men just managed to do one project. But I, to self-mobi, did 13 projects in 1 year as a Rotary president. So why can't we believe in women? So my question is this, my dear, Your Excellency, sir, is what are your plans for women, affirmative action? That's my question.
Thank you very much. It's a very, very important question. I have it in my list, but thank you for bringing it up. Dr. Okwenna, please.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Tusi. I've been faced with this question everywhere I go, like MTN will say. But one thing is very clear. I'm working to have a deputy governor who is a woman. That is number one priority. Two, I worked with women in cabinet, and I can tell you that they are highly resourceful. I must tell you that they don't play politics like us, especially inciting projects. So to that level, we are very happy to have women around us. They do the project the way you want it. So my second plan is that I'm going to give women 40%.
40% of what, sir?
40% affirmative appointments.
Okay.
Long as they are available. But for me, apart from this appointment, because when you talk about appointment, you're only talking about individual. I have a very comprehensive poverty alleviation and wealth creation program for women. When I talk of innovation, setting up startups, I have a lot of program for women, bringing 5 women together and have them to form a startup. I'm going to talk of my industry. When I talk about industrial policy, I have a system of cottage industry where women are truly going to be used and bring them together and provide grant for them, and they work together to peer review themselves, because we know that the problem of startups is that a lot of startups have to fold in the first 5 years. It's difficult for startups to survive first 5 years. And that's why I'm going to introduce the cluster system and the cooperative system. The cluster system is a situation where 5 people, 3 people, 10 people comes together to form a group in business. And when they do that, you now give them grant and allow them to grow after training them on corporate governance. Then we'll have the aspect for cooperative scheme. Women are better organized when they work in cooperatives. They have a lot of women groups, both in churches, that faith-based organizations, and the other social clubs, which we use as cooperative, especially in agriculture and processing, industrialization. So women under me as governor are going to be engaged. We are going to think of where we create what we call the you know, when you go around, people build this, they build a center for people, and those centers are left uncared. We're going to make sure those centers, innovation centers, and are managed using women. So basically, it's a women-based government.
Dr. Okwenna, let me emphasize one question asked by Madam Tusa, and then I'll ask a direct question. Will you appoint a woman as your deputy governor?
Of course, I've answered that question.
No, you didn't. With respect, you say that you are working to do that. That you are working to.
That was first answer. I said my strategy is that it's going to be my deputy. That was my 40% in terms of appointments.
Thank you very much.
To the level of.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Because of our time, because we will finish in the next 18 minutes, we will take the next 3 questions in a row. So if you please, I will ask you, please, if you don't mind, to make a note of those questions and then answer them at once. Let's start from Victor. What is your question, please, in 1 minute? Then we take note and then we move to Maazi Okoye and then Maazi Anayonwesu.
Right. Let me quickly start by commending you as a men organizer and a doctor, my friend, from our NYSC days. And I have good information on his programs. But I want to quickly ask, the programs are many. What will be his source of revenue source to be able to carry on with so many of these programs? Secondly, is there any plan for the disadvantaged or disabled Anambrarians? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, especially for this question about disabled ones and then for keeping your questions short and simple. Thank you very much. Maazi HTM Okoye, your turn, please. Can you unmute yourself? And then Anayo, please unmute yourself as well and get ready. Maazi Okoye, please.
Thank you, Daniel. Good to see you again in short space of time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ifedi. My question is about the environment. You mentioned that you were an environment commissioner in the past. What did you do with regards to the erosions that is actually plaguing Anambra State at the moment? The next question is about the local government issue that we're having in Anambra State for a long time now. You see, Nigeria has a problem in general of having a too centralized government, whereby everything is centralized in Abuja and then trickle down to the states, and then the states become decentralized and then forgets about the functions of the local government. What are you going to do to make sure that our local government functions the way they're supposed to function, instead of you as a governor just dictating everything from the center of the state? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoye, as well. Mazi Anayomu, is your turn, sir.
Okay, yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, the aspirants. My name is Anayomu. Yes, my questions are this way. I noticed that the aspirant is a good man. He wants to do a whole lot of things to make Anambra better. And every question asked here, and he said he was going to do everything. Now, I want to ask him, number one, that if you are going for a job interview, you must have prepared well. And I believe you must have prepared well. I want you to tell me the average FAC receipt, average FAC, Federation account, right? Money received Anambra State, average monthly from January year to date. That's one. Two, the average IGR received, January to date, month to date. That is every month, average. Now, just average. Now, the essence is that you will use public funds to do public works. Then all the things you said you are going to do, you require money to do that. You know very well that the revenues from the center are dwindling. So also the socio-economic environment can make it very impossible for people to even earn more. In essence, there's possibility that IGR will be going down. So how are you going to raise money to do all this you want to do? Then you know that equally, you have a lot of industries in Anambra State, and power is a main problem. And you know that power is the exclusive list. Then are you going to, what's your plan to do embedded power? What plans do you have with gas companies to power, to actually pipe gases, so that production will be cheaper for our industries? Finally, we want to know your plan to harness the value chain from Anambra Airport that's about to be commissioned. Value chain, I mean the opportunities around that will generate money, increase business, because airport has been sited there. Thank you.
We thank you very much. Maboze Chukuma, I will suggest that you wait to ask your question, because we have taken some very important questions and we wouldn't like our guests to miss any of them. I hope you wouldn't leave. I'm sure you will stay till the end of the program. I assure you I'll call you to ask your question. Maboze, please. I beg your indulgence, please. Let's allow our guests to treat these important questions so that we don't miss track of them. Dr. Okwenna, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. The highly resourceful participants at this program. I think there are two, the revenue source and the issue of where I'm going to get the money is going to be coming from are almost the same thing. Let me tell you, I've answered this question in the course of this program. But let me equally say again that we must improve our IGR system by being able to block every loopholes that we have, by being able to expand our net. But even the informal sector, there are ways you can get things from that. And then we have to, I already told you that that's why we say we are innovating Anambra. In the process of innovation, you find that virtually every of my program has a financial component of where the fund is coming from and where you're getting the fund to build what you are building. If I'm telling you I'm investing in agriculture, I am equally telling you where I'm going to leverage funds to invest in agriculture. If I'm telling you I'm investing in industries, I know very well that the government is not going to put their money in building industries, but to synergize the development of the industrial development of the state. Today, we have a lot of moribund industries, which government, like I said, we are going to create the Anambra Marketing Board. The Anambra Marketing Board we are going to create is a quasi-government private sector driven company that is going to act as a middle person to ensure that goods produced by producers are purchased by the marketing board and resold for profit. So I equally told you that we are going to apply the e-wallet system to make sure that more money comes into it. We are going to leverage on available grants that are everywhere because of the innovation system we are trying to do. And through that system, you are going to get more money. I equally told you that I'm going to think of where we can do our land administration and management system plan. Could we make money available in people's hands and make states to raise a lot of more money? So virtually everything we are doing, the government is not going to be a Father Christmas. The government I'm going to run is not going to be a Father Christmas. Every program we are doing has a component for funding it. So that at the end of the day, we are no longer depending on just the IGR as it were, based on taxes. But we are thinking of investing in that to come back and capture more people to now pay to the state. These are the ways we rejig modern economy. But if you think of a situation, government will just collect tax from people and come in and put it in building industry. It's no longer the era we are into. The private sector driven private public sector partnership, which I even did as a commissioner in the environment, making environment to pay for itself, is a little example people should know. Like I said, I made 400,000 naira revenue from waste generation. And I was able to make 48 million within a year plus. These are things we are talking about. Innovative ideas to generate revenue, to run the system. That system of waste management eventually started paying for itself and giving us profits.
Doctor, let me help you to move to the next questions, please, if you don't mind.
So, disabled persons, of course, we notice that our planning systems are favorable to fiscally challenged brothers and sisters. We will start by the kind of structure we build that make provision for them and take effective advantage of them to be able to be part of our system effectively. Every public building must provide for disabled people. And the fiscally challenged person will be able to segregated based on accident of in his physical position. That you are blind does not stop you from getting job where you apply for job. These are the ways to encourage them. That they want to be innovative, we give them facility to make them to be innovative. So we are going to give them effective environment that will allow them to work. On erosion, As a Commissioner of Environment, I did a lot of work in erosion. As a matter of fact, I designed 168 active and semi-active erosion sites. Study and design as Commissioner within 2 years. I did a census of erosion sites in Anambra. By then, it was 658 erosion sites. And out of that 658 erosion sites, I designed 168. And then we constructed 28 erosion sites, unprecedented. And then we were able to partner under new map, to partner with the federal government and the World Bank to be able to do some active erosion sites. Again, we are going to introduce environmental impact assessment as a policy of the government, that every project that is likely to cause adverse impact on the environment and EIA must be conducted. This will help us to reduce the impact of human and physical challenges that end up creating erosion in Anambra State. A lot of houses are built, a lot of roads are built, and drainages are terminated at a steep, leading to the fact that they go and start cutting and slumping, creating erosion downstream, without getting to the watershed. A lot of people cut waste in and dump them into drainage channels. Our drainage channels are not cleaned every year before the rainy season, making them to be able to veer off of their normal drainage channel costs. A lot of us do not know that Onitsha was built under a standard sewage and stormwater system underground. I tried to open it as commissioner. That's why I built Otumo and Wangere that empties into River Niger and clears Onitsha flood as it were then. We are going to go back to that level. And because of that, you notice that Onitsha was a lot of erosion sites took place in Onitsha Waterworks, in Elombah area in Onitsha those days. And they are still there, apart from those who constructed. So the physical planning system we adopt will help to solve our erosion problem. Now, the other one on local government. I tell you that we will return to the golden moment of local government. Because I noticed that a lot of people don't want local government administration to work because they want to use resources from the local government. I must make sure that local government chairman, the government election takes place according to the laws of the state, because that will help to build a lot of people to grow, instead of a certain set of people continue to stay in power. If you are doing local government election, people will be graduating and going to the next phase of life. That is advantage. And secondly, when you do that, we will try to create Anambra State Economic Council. The Anambra State Economic Council will have a governor, deputy governor, and chairman of all the local governments. You know what we are going to do there? We will not allow local government to start useless job projects, which has no meaning to the development of the state. So that if you are part of the economic planning of the state, you know where the state is going, and you choose your developmental pattern in your local government according to the pattern of the state, so that no governor doesn't stop you. If you say we are going to build so number of kilometers of road, we are jointly building the number of kilometers of road across the state. If you are saying we are building industries, we know that you as a local government chairman is keying into our program, and we achieve that. Instead of allowing why I'm building industry and you are building stadium, it will not work because you will not complete your stadium. The state will be littered with carcasses of unfinished projects. So that's why I'm going to create the economic state economic council, whereby chairman of all the 21 local government and the governor meets every quarter and agree on what we are going to invest in. Through that, our local government system will work effectively well. Then power. Of course, I say that power can be, you can't do anything without thinking well about power. We are lucky that the Anambra, the Enugu electricity distribution system is owned by the major share from Anambra people. We start thinking of how we can first evacuate power to a particular area of need at a particular time of the day. so that we can be able to manage the little power we have now before we start generating more. As a commissioner, I started a waste to energy plant. That waste energy plant was to use waste and associated gas to generate 188 megawatts of electricity. That 188 megawatts of electricity was to be evacuated into Nnewi and the Harbor Industrial Estates in Onitsha and Nnewi. And they were ready to pay a little bit higher than expected. We assessed the fund from International Financial Consortium, 498 million US. That money was secured for all the Access Energy of Canada. We did not use that fund because we left the sea. This is the kind of thing we create. Imagine us creating 188 megawatts of electricity. Today, we don't have up to 31 megawatts in the whole of Anambra. We were going to create that from waste to energy with associated gas. But we are ready to pay tipping fee for the waste, and we're able to pay a little increase, which we're already talking with Nigeria Electric Corporation as at then. So on the embedded system, we'll be able to know that if we have clusters of industry, we'll be able to look at the embedded system that we can generate energy over a particular area. That's why our industrial center will be identified. And then the commercial center will be identified. We must make sure that every house is metered. Government will partner with the private sector to meter all our houses, so that this issue of giving us estimated bill will stop. We will be able to know how many watts of energy we are using at every particular point in time. Through that system, we will be able to start taking care of our power. On the evaluation of the airport, I remain one of the people who says the airport project is a success. I know that people challenge me that because it was part of my system, my plan, even before we are not started building the airport. And I commend him for doing that. And I would love him to finish that airport. But if you fail to finish that airport, I'm going to finish the airport when I come into office. And what am I going to do? To use the value chain. First and foremost, we can create Umuleri area into a new city. That area has part of my Trans-Anambra Highway that will pass through Onitsha into the airport city and move to Ayamelum, cross the Uru River, and find itself to Oka North and into Oka South. And from Oka South by Amansi, move into Orumba North, Orumba South, into Aguata, into Nnewi South, first in Ihala, and into Ekwusigo to Obaru and back to Onitsha. It's part of Trans-Anambra Highway. I'm going to start. I'm not going to finish it, but you start this because it's a kind of a legacy project that will help to open up rural parts of Anambra State. But that will help the airport city. Now, we will be able to plan the airport city so that we don't allow people to build recklessly around that place. They will stop the land speculators from buying off land in those airport cities. So that at the end of the day, we will build the best commercial center there. We will build good hotels there. We will build a good number of facilities that will help people in that area to be a new area people will be eager to stay. Most airport areas in major cities have a good layout plan. A housing program will be so developed in that area so that they can leverage on the facility we have at the airport, both in housing development and otherwise. So I believe definitely that airport has come to stay, and all we need to do is to leverage on what we have, especially land in that area, to ensure that we effectively use that land and develop commercial centers. That place is close to Onitsha and it's close to Oka. And we can leverage on this to develop a new modern city that we'll all be proud of. Else, we'll make a mistake and allow people to start speculating on land and be buying anything anyhow and building ramshackle building. As today, the Anambra State Urban Development Planning must plan the airport city to be able to be a center we will all be proud of. This is the way I plan to utilize on the value chain of the airport. I think I've addressed virtually all the questions.
All right, we thank you very much, Dr. Okwenna. There is a little aspects of the questions asked by Anna Yongwese that I would like to get back to. But let's hear from Mabeze Chukuma because our time is, let's give him a bite so that everybody will have asked the question. Mabeze, please.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening. So my lead question goes to His Excellency. Yeah, I've read some of his development plan talking about the tech ecosystem, and also he talked about the e-wallet system. Those are laudable initiatives, but you give us more roadmap on making the economy more digital in terms of encompassing it for e-commerce and small scale enterprise to be onboarded, like create an environment whereby e-commerce can thrive as well. So that would be for my first question. You should give a clearer roadmap on how we want to achieve this. And the second one is about the tech ecosystem now. So like adopting technology solutions in government proceedings, automating the civil service processes. These are, might be a tough initiative for the government to take. However, these are ways that help to promote productivity in terms of the civil service process, the productivity level in civil service. So how do you want to help automate those processes, as well as creating tech ecosystem for young ones to try and create up something like, spread up of hubs, transferring the economic ecosystem, technology ecosystem from Lagos down to Anambra, like how we can help create hubs, technology hubs. That's the second question. And my third question is about housing. We talked about city states. It's going to be a lovely one. But in this city states, there are still going to be conurbations, like conglomerate of many towns or urban areas like that. Maybe in one of your development plan, I saw the Onitsha axis, I saw the Nnewi axis, I saw that of Oka axis. Now, in all these axes, there will be need for expansion, there will be need for housing. So what are the real plans in terms of making adequate housing and areas whereby it will help to maintain the city status, whereby people can build indiscriminately, whereby there will be allotted land for industries, for trade, and for residential environment? And my last question is about the Onitsha ports. There might be talks on revitalizing the ports, and also to avoid the problem many of us face here in Lagos about the port system and the jam load of trucks and all. When the port gets to function well, it will be an opener for the Eastern Corridor, whereby there will be a lot of trucks, there will be a lot of transit vehicles, and it will be a business operation for logistics. How do you want to create a system whereby this new population, this new system won't affect the existing environment in Onitsha? So those are my 4 questions.
Wow, thank you. These are loaded questions. Let's quickly run through them. Our time is almost up. Thank you, Mabeze. I would not have been happy if I have not called you up to ask these questions. You just asked now. Thank you very much again. All right, Dr. Okwenna. Oh yeah.
Sorry, my sister wasn't clear in the first 2 questions.
Oh.
I wanted him to. I think of. I couldn't get it clear because I wasn't hearing well that time.
I see. Can you quickly, please, 30 seconds, can you quickly remind what your first 2 questions were?
Okay, the first one I was talking about the digital economy.
Yes.
Whereby it encompasses e-commerce, like an electronic commerce where people can get onboarded, where buyers and sellers can easily and equally meet. I create a hub for e-commerce. As everyone knows, Anambra is a commercial state, it's full of commerce. So how can we make that? What is this plan for making it a digital economy?
And the second one
is about the tech ecosystem. The first one is adopting technology solutions in government processes, like in terms of civil service, how we can help with technology processes in automating the work activities of government workers that can help to promote productivity and reduce the time spent on movement of files from one place to the other, like your process of automating business for government starters. And under the tech ecosystem, I talked about hubs, how we can create a new tech ecosystem in Anambra State, whereby youth can come around. There should be a government-friendly system whereby people can get to develop technology solutions, like maybe perhaps our own Silicon Valley. So those are questions that I won't want to go deep in talking about. You should give us a run through about this plan on that.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much again, especially for referring to Silicon Valley. How will we create a Silicon Valley in Anambra State? Dr. Okwenna, please.
Thank you very much. If there is an area I've thought about much in my preparation to be governor, is this question, and it would have been unfortunate that I finished this section without any question coming from it. I thank you for that. I'm thinking of having an e-business, e-government, e-learning in Anambra State. And for us to effectively do that, we are putting our education system is going to be touched. A model of Anambra model on education, which will be a new model for training the Anambra going forward. We were much on ICT and STEM education. And for us to do that, we'll be able to, when we finish that, we're able to think of having a finishing system, a finishing school, that's hands-on schools. Part of my system is that I'm going to train an average of 2,000 young Anambrarians, 200,000 Anambrarians over 4 years. The essence is that we'll give them short training on coding, on coding, and so many areas which we plan to be able to train, even including cybersecurity, so that we can turn some of our young people from being Yahoo boys into cybersecurity experts. So at the end of the day, if we're able to get these people trained and be able to be part of the digital job of the world, we can now start creating startup operations, where we hope that we are going to have about 5,000 startups over the next 4 years, about 5 people coming in clusters of youth. And then we'll be able to be, after this training, these youth are coming together and we'll be encouraging them, giving them an enabling environment, because we are going to have innovation centers across the length and breadth of Anambra State that will gradually take us to having our tech hub. The tech hub will take us quite a number of times, but we'll start with our innovation centers, which we take old existing facilities and create a workstation where people can work together and manage what is available to them to develop and the zone where they want to go. We want to create the largest ICT ecosystem out of Africa. And that will now attract our best brain to move from Lagos into Anambra State. Today, Lagos is still the leading hub. And we want a situation where, after a period, most people in Lagos, you can agree with me, a lot of them are Anambra youths. And we can start thinking of a way, and of course, that is part of my core objective when I say we're going to be a destination. That destination will be something that will attract us. Because if we create the largest ecosystem, ICT ecosystem in Nigeria, it will be able to attract our youth. No youth can stay in Anambra of today because it's not innovative again, and youth cannot stay in a place where innovation cannot work effectively well. And for us to do that, we will think of the infrastructure backbone. We are going to create an infrastructure backbone, ICT backbone, that will gradually help us to have our nano SIMs and then be able to make ICT effectively cheap. And when we do that, it makes people to now think of our system coming here. Because we are going to run our security, our finances, our health, our transport system under using a digital transformation system, there must be need for us to effectively train our youth to design apps that we can effectively use in running our system. When I talk about the emergency healthcare system, it's going to be ICT based, so that you can be able to develop an app that can help the health industry to work If you want to think of even agricultural system, will be design apps that will make people to be able to engage on that and develop our agriculture. We're going to think of running our Minister of Finance will be ICT enabled. We're going, every sector we are going to work is going to be ICT enabled. And that's why we need to quickly train as more youth from Anambra as possible, so that they will create a new economy for Anambra State. So definitely I'm looking forward to a situation I partner with a number of youths to be able to create an ICT environment, a digital environment, and ultimately to have our tech hub. The tech hub we anticipate to be one of the best, and we'll be able to utilize effectively the best components of what we have to create an environment that we can be proud to call our own. And quickly on issue of housing, of course, if you want to make it a destination, we have issue with housing. A lot of us are investing excellently on building large mansions, but these large mansions are not affordable for the youth and some people who are young, who are starting young. So, and that's why we have effective shelter program, the affordable housing scheme, which will utilize effectively mortgage system. Mortgage system must be made to work in Anambra State. You see, when I say all this, people think it's all about getting money and investing huge money. It's not all about investing in huge money. It's investing ideas. The idea creation will make us to develop, get houses here. We cannot put a dime in housing, but we are going to make affordable houses available for all of us. Because if facilities are not there, if you don't have enough facilities, if you don't have effective standard housing system, we cannot get the best of our people to return home. So I'm going to invest heavily in housing, using the public-private sector partnership to build affordable houses and make it available for people to buy on mortgage system. So these are part of the things we're going to do in the area of housing. And then on Onitsha ports and the impact on the ecosystem, of course, what we are doing in Anambra State is that we want to develop a transportation system. And that transportation system, we've done, the airport is ongoing. Definitely we found that I was in Anambra, East Anambra West yesterday. And part of discussion I had with them was how we can create the ferry system using public-private sector partnership, where the government can think of getting vessels and give the private sector to be able to manage and pay back. Thereby, government will driving their money from the ferry they started, while the private sector takes care of maintenance and takes care of the marketing and be able to recover the money invested by government. Through that, people can move in the riverine part of Anambra. If you go to that riverine part of Anambra, you see how people suffer. A journey from Nzam to Onitsha will take you more than 1-2 days. Do you know that Anambra has a state, has a local government headquarters that would at any third road? That is Anambra West. Nzam is the headquarters of Anambra West. It has no third road. People can't even come out from there. So we must be able to ensure that we develop our water transportation system so that goods, agricultural products can be able to export that into Onitsha. Then on the Onitsha seaport, it's a good project that is coming on, but much has not been, it's not going on as we expected. The hype is far more bigger than what is happening on the ground. But I believe that when that gets to work effectively, or we're able to create a dry port, and then we're able to create the Obaro, what we call the Obaro, we're trying to trade-free zone in Obaro. It will help us to open up that area, and then the reality will set in to people, because once that airport is up and running and functioning, a lot of new realities will set in.
We thank you very much. We thank you very much, Dr. Ifedi Okwenna. You've been speaking to us for the past 2 hours, and I'm sure our listeners must have had enough. about your programs. I can see Azu Ikejan is still raising up his hand. Let's see whether we can just take a brief shot. But to remind ourselves, we are listening to Dr. Ifedi Okwenna, a governorship aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party for the forthcoming Anambra State governorship election. We are gradually coming to the end of our program. Dr. Okwenna, let me ask you a direct question before you go. We all know the influence of money in Anambra politics. In fact, someone told me that Anambra State is a place where if you're a contestant, you will not just be able to put down 5 billion naira on the ground, but another person who is not even a candidate may put another 10 billion naira on the table just to stop you from being a governor. So, sir, are you a billionaire?
Thank you very much. I remain one of the few people that believe that money is not all you need to be governor of Anambra State. Because history has shown us that the governors of Anambra State before now, maybe for one person, the rest are not. They were not billionaires before they became. See, perception of reality. Before I started contesting for governorship, I used to think that if you don't put all this money on ground, that you can never govern. Let me tell you, it's important. You have organized this program. Hitherto, we don't used to have this kind of program. I may have made some impression on some people, not because of the billions I'm throwing in, but because they know I have program for this state. And that can make a lot of difference. So I don't believe this. But that's why I don't answer that kind of question directly. I don't believe that you must throw all the money on the ground.
Okay, now the problem with this type of questions, if you don't mind, is that in Anambra State, if you don't have the billions to spend, that means you have to depend on others to give you the billions to contest the election. Let us not deny the influence of money in Anambra politics. So if you collect money from Anambra may have the largest number of billionaires in Nigeria, and they make things difficult for a governor who comes up to govern this state. How do you deal with these Anambra billionaires? In fact, Forbes magazine states that Anambra State has the largest concentration of billionaires in Africa. How do you deal with these billionaires if you become governor?
You see, I have what I call the legacy. These are people who are interested in good governance, because I'm an apostle of good governance. And I got a legacy team. I said, look, if you are not interested in improving the standard of living of an average Anambra, you don't put money in my campaign. So you can have idea of what you want. I don't run a very bogus campaign. I don't do it. It's a matter of policy. Because I want to make impact. There is no Father Christmas in government. Whether you use your 200 billion or somebody give you his own 100 billion to run, you must pay. If it's your money, you must pay yourself. So it's neither here nor there. If you elect somebody with all his money and run election, he become a tiger.
All right. We thank you very much. Let's allow you to rest. Let's bring this program to an end. So let's take just one last, very, very brief 30 seconds question from you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Okwenna, thank you so much for your presentation. But I have one question. You were a commissioner for environment. Am I correct?
Yeah.
What did you do to educate the people on dropping trash and picking up their pure water bags? What did you do at that time?
Thank you very much. That is a wonderful question, because I knew Ifedi Okwenna revolutionized environment in Anambra State. I started the house-to-house waste collection. I was the first person to start it in Anambra State. Hitherto did not know like that. I was given 3 trash bags as commissioner. One for biodegradable, one for bottles and plastic, and one for nylon, what they call pure water sachet. And we were doing that, and we are part of the money we were making. Again, I started that was the time I equally started the house-to-house collection of pay as you polluter pay principle. I adopted that, and I started collecting it house by house. And I was the first person that created a waste management site, even though it was not a perfect one at that time, because of the level of understanding then. I knew I wanted to do something that had not been existing. I didn't go for perfection that time. But as we were going, we attracted the federal government, and the federal government joined us to create the Naga Waste Management Site. So I started the ENVO, Environmental Volunteer Corps, where I trained 50,000 Anambra school children, secondary school children, into environmental. They volunteered. Every secondary school have volunteered. They were wearing ENVO uniform. These are kids, catch the young. I was catching the young, and the environment was catching up on every person in Anambra. And that was why I won the Best Environment Commissioner Award in all over Nigeria for 2 consecutive years. I started the environmental vanguard, those who were stopping people on the streets. If you throw away garbage on the street, they stop you and arrest you. I was the person. I created through the commissioner for the governor, through the commissioner for the attorney general. We created environmental court as commissioner. That was the first time we were trying people for environmental offenses. So we did a lot to the people stopped doing street trading was stopped when I became commissioner, because we are arresting people who are selling by the street corner. And we are stopping people, we are partnering with markets to stop them dumping garbage in the big stormwater drainage channels across the state. So we did a lot to do that, but unfortunately, because we did not allow that thing to last for a reasonable length of time when I left, those policies, those things that we created gradually started dying down. But we wrote it when I became governor.
Because you can see that a lot of erosion is being caused by pure water bags and trash in the gutter.
Right.
A lot of erosion. I drove length and breadth of Anambra with a friend who's
all right. We thank you very much, Mr. Ikeji, and thank you very much. Before you came in, our guest was asked a question on erosion. Thank you anyway for raising it up again. I understand it's something you are very passionate about. Thank you very much, Dr. Okwenna, for spending almost 2.5 hours now with us on this program. I will remind our guests and listeners that it's our normal practice to stay for maybe 20-30 minutes after our guest has been interviewed, to have some feedbacks and to discuss some of the issues arising from this program and any other current trending issue in Nigeria. So I take this opportunity once again. Thank you very much, Dr. Ifedi Okwenna, for being with us in this program tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity you've given to me today.
I wish you the best. I wish you success in your endeavors and in your campaign to be the governor of Anambra State. Thank you.
Let's partner together with Anambra State to come up again, to come back to where it's supposed to be. We need to climb a new height in the state, because when we work, when we are doing well in Anambra,
all right.